Hello, fellow map makers. Welcome to another live map making session. The bells are on outside, and the cat was playing with my headphone cable. Looks like it's time for another map making session. Hope you're all doing fine. Sound is good. Thank you very much, Sue. The tech seems to be working fine for the moment, so it's nothing in the way for the session. Just nice to see all the people from the globe from around the globe in the chat, from Australia to Canada and the States, and here in Germany and in England, and it's wonderful to see all those people from around the world coming together to see me making maps for a little while. So let's see what we can do tonight. As usual, if you have got any questions during the session, do put them in the chat. We'll be happy to help out. People here are very knowledgeable. I'll try to show what I can on screen for any questions. And so we'll take care that I don't miss anything, because I can't always keep my eyes on the chat. Otherwise, if you like, do hit the like button on the subscription, perhaps even the bell for the subscription on YouTube. That does help our channel to be a bit more visible and more people to see the map making videos. Good. So what's on the menu today? Well, I posted a private map from a role-playing session I had on the weekend earlier. I had planned for that and prepared for that, and that drew some comments and seemed to be pretty popular, so I thought, why not grab something like that and do another map in that style and approximate size. And it's convenient, since I will need another one like these for the next role-playing session when we get together again. So I can start on working on that during this live session. Oh, again, the strobe effect is back again. Yes, I thought I had fixed that earlier. I especially worked for that, and let's see, I had a fix by changing the screen rate, and let's see whether I can actually manage to fix that again. Where was that? Properties. Configure video. Yeah, it's back to the 60. I should be at 50 Hertz. And there we are. And that should hopefully be better. Yes, that's looking good. So there we are. Excellent. Yeah, I had a temporary fix by changing the lighting basically last time, but I did want to fix it permanently. And so I had a look earlier and found the setting, but somehow it's gone back to the default. So okay, good. So where was I? I was talking about what map I want to do. I want to do another regional map with the Mike Schley overland style like this one. And I want to start from scratch and show people how because these are based on existing maps in different styles and different detail level. And I do convert them into campaign cartographer, and that might be useful for quite a few other people. So let's have a look how that works. My sound is also better now. Okay, didn't change anything there. Oh well. Let's go. I'm starting off by creating a new map, saving the changes here, and I'm going to the overland maps and choosing the Mike Schley overland style right here. Click next. And then I set a preliminary size, because I don't really know yet how large my map needs to be. I have a rough idea. It's a bit larger than the one I've had done previously. So let's start off with a 300 by, by 200 miles size, and see where we end up from that. So just put that in, and otherwise I'll just leave that as is. Click finish, and gonna go to my video folder. And here's the session, and just save it as regional map. Well, actually, I can already. I know already the area. It's the eastern part of the Duchy of Weiden in the setting, and so we just call it Ostweiden, which is Eastern Weiden in English. There we go. And now I want to get my source map in here so I can trace over that and reference things. For that, I'm going to create a new sheet first, because I wanted to put it on a separate sheet, and I wanted to put it quite at the end here. So let's just add bitmap sheet. And as usual, I make that partially transparent so that I can view things through the source map. So I'm going to put in a 50% opacity here. I can always later change that. And click OK. Now what you've seen me do quite a few times is a draw insert file command to get the map in. That has the advantage of you being able to scale the map right away, but I wanted to show you that we can also just simply grab things and plop it into Campaign Cartographer via Windows Explorer. So here's my folder, and this is basically the map I want to use as my source map. And I'm just going to grab that, drag it over, plop it on screen, and bam, this file is in Campaign Cartographer. The only thing is it's at a default size, and I need to scale it down. There we are. Actually, what I forgot to do is set the current layer to bitmap. So what I want to do is I change this. I use the change properties command, click on the edge of the bitmap to select it, press D for executing the command, and then I'm going to set the layer to bitmap. Again, that's something different from the sheet. It's already on the bitmap sheet. And layer is an organizational thing. Sheets are stacked on top of each other and define the order in which things are drawn and shown. So those are two different things, but I want to have both on set to bitmap. Okay, now as we see, it's quite a bit too large, but I do have a scale bar on the map, and I can already scale the map to the size I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure how large these 50 miles here are currently in the map. And for that I'm going to go to Info, Distance, click here, and now you can see I can set the other point, and since I want to have an exact horizontal line, I'm just going to click on Ortho, and that makes the cursor only go vertically or horizontally 90 degrees. Sections, I can also, if I want to be a bit more precise, zoom in a bit more. See, the map is not exactly aligned, but doesn't matter. I'm not concerned to be that exact. And here we can see the distance here is currently 172.66 miles. And I want that to be 50 in the map, so I do have the correct units to miles in the map. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click the scale button and choose non-visual scale. Again, select my bitmap, press D for do it, and now I'm going to put in my scale factor, and it's currently 172.66, but it should be 50, so I divide by 172.66 and multiply by 50, and then I'm at the correct scale. I'm going to use the center point here as reference. There we are. And there you can see I've roughly, because I've done this before, got the correct size of the map, but just roughly we're going to resize that in a minute. So I'm just going to double check and go info, distance, and select this again. And there we are, rough measurement 50 and a little bit, so we are fine. So we've got the correct scale. Now I just need to set my map borders to this. Yeah, someone already learned that campaign cartographer can do the calculation for you. No need to put that through your head or your calculation. You can always let campaign cartographer do the math. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this bitmap first, and now see also orthogonal is still on, so I can just move it up or down and turn that off to be free in the movement again. And I want to pull that about here, because I don't need the other section, I just want the colored section here. So now I'm going to measure how large the map is. I want how large my canvas is supposed to be. So that's about 230 miles by north-south is about 130. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into File, Resize Drawing Area, and change my width to 230 by 130 miles. Oops. Finish. And there I've got my map border cropped to the part of the map I want to have. Okay. Andrew had the question, what are the compatible file formats for drag and drop? That's the image files, JPEG and PNG, and I also think Windows Bitmap BMP still works, but nobody really uses that anymore. But JPEG and PNG are the ones that definitely work in C3+. We are working on making more file formats compatible like SVG, and I'm not sure about that, but perhaps WebP for CC4. Well, we'll see how far we get there. Alright, I've got the general area correct and the size of the map, and I do have my map to draw over. So next off we are going to do the coastline. We do have a large lake here, and we are going to use the landmass to draw the actual land area and leave the sea background there as the background for the map. And now I'm going to just grab this and I'm going to turn off orthogonal so I can actually draw non-horizontal lines. And now I'm just going to click point by point to draw the lake's coastline. There we go, all the way to the map border. And now I can't, since I'm drawing the landmass and not the sea, I can't just go to this corner and close it. I have to go once around the map, one click each beyond the corners, will attach the coastline to those map borders, and there we are. There's my coastline. Now I can go in and add a few islands just by using the landmass tool. I'm going to stick with the colored, more with the colored map. You see I've overlaid this over a black and white map there because the black and white map had some features that the color map does not have, and did have the scale and everything. And I did that in Photoshop, but it was since the map was drawn by two different people and they don't match exactly, so I'm going to stick to the colored version because that's the more authoritative one. And gonna add the islands like this. There we are, and now we do have some rivers to draw. See, we've got the main river here, that's the Pantler Rail, which goes all the way down here, and then some tributaries for that. So I'm going to grab the river wide tool and have a look that we get a nice interface or intersection with the coastline here. F9. There we are. And now I want to be a little bit closer to follow the original a little bit better. And there we are. Last section down here. And I'm actually going to just draw it to here, and then I'm going to draw the default version further on to make it a little bit narrower. So that's the Pantler Rail done, and then I'm going to connect with the F5 modifier the new river here to the end of that wider section and draw that along here for the next river. And then we have the Braunwasser here, the brown water, and then I'm going to use the F9 modifier to attach it to the river here. And draw. See, I'm veered a bit off the original there, and if I want to undo that, it's not that important here, but just to show you, I can use the delete key to get one or more steps back and restart doing that. And I want to go from the default width to the small width here and make the river narrower towards the end. Probably be adding a few more smaller rivers later, but first off I'm just concerned about the rivers that are on the original source map. Do we have something here? No, that's a road. Anything else here? We do have some. Is that lakes? Yes, I think that's lakes actually, but more of a marshy area. So I'm thinking I might do this as swamp and not as separate lakes later on. Okay, so let's turn off the bitmap sheet for a sec. Okay, and there, that's what we have at the moment. Simple, not very much to see yet, but we are getting there. So next off, I want to do mountains. That's my next thing, and that will allow me to check my scaling of symbols on the map. Perhaps I need to change my default scale to match the general layout of the map, the sizes here. So I'm gonna click the Minerals and Mountains catalog, and these are not extremely high mountains in the setting, so I'm thinking about whether I want to grab the snow-covered peaks. On the other hand, it is fairly far up north, so they certainly have snow on top for quite a bit of the year. Let's grab at least some of the snow-covered ones to start with. Grab here. And let's have a look. So if I take this as a standard mountain, the size is actually not that bad. I don't want to make it too small, then I'm taking too long to fill the whole map, and I don't need to show every small peak that is here on the map. So I'm thinking this might actually be quite a good size. Let's no, I'm gonna stick with that. Oops, lost my symbol. There we are. So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to place down some mountains too. Though I actually might just place just a few of the larger ones. And just grab some smaller sized mountains for the rest. So this is going to be my peaks. I'm not going to take the Great Peaks symbols. They are too large here for my map, I think. Instead, I'm going to go for the small snow-capped mountains to finish doing the mountain layout. Here we do have a pass, so I'm leaving a little space here. There we go. And I'm trying to generally build these lines of or ridges of mountains, because it's, mountains in the real world tend to form like that. So the symbols are often a little bit too large to allow that completely, so I'm not too bothered if it doesn't work quite as here on the map. And I'm not bothered about just placing symbols on top of each other, because I can now go in symbols, sort symbols and map, select all of them, press D for do it, hide the bitmap sheet for a moment, and this looks good so far. So this is this area of mountains. Now I've got the rest down here. And these mountains here are a bit smaller, so I'm going to go for the non-snow covered versions. Zoomed in a bit too. There we go. And just the small mountain symbols. There's enough of them to make this nice and varied. Can always drop in the occasional larger mountain in here. Smaller ones again. And again we have a pass going for the mountains here. There we go. And then here I'm going to go, these mountains are going higher in this direction again, so I'm going to grab some snow-covered mountain symbols again. But still sticking mostly with the small ones. Just see, let's grab one of the bigger ones here. And perhaps here. And the rest with the smaller mountains. See, sometimes if I grab a mountain, or the random function grabs a mountain symbol that I don't like at that point, I either go to a different space and place the mountain there, or I can just use the tab key to go to the next mountain in the selection. See, especially often if I place two mountains next to each other and the random function picks the same one, then I'm just gonna do tab once to get a different mountain. Go, and perhaps one with the snow capped here. All right, I am quite like that. And I'm just going to sort all the symbols. There you go. Then you'll see that there's quite a few hill symbols in here, important feature of this map. And if I just save the map and quickly reference the other one, the older one, I do stuff like that usually through the recent maps list here. You can see that I've got quite a few hilly areas here as well with some hill symbols. So we are gonna take care and some time to place appropriate hill symbols on this map. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so let's go back to the mountains, and if you scroll down we get to the hill symbols. Here we are with different hill symbols. I do like to grab the standard hill symbols there. You can also use the foothills, but they are larger symbols and often a bit harder to align. And the individual hills are generally larger ones, and I want them a little bit smaller, so the hills symbols and the different ones that are available there are my usual go-to choice for these kind of landscapes on a regional map. So yes, if they do seem a bit odd here and pale, that's because the partially transparent bitmap is on top of them and hiding a bit of them. I can actually make the transparency a bit stronger, so let's just to 25% opacity, and then we can see the symbols a bit more clearly. Go, and I'm now going to start and just place down. Not bothered about the first at this point, because I'm going to do these on top of the hill symbols later. I just need to place some hilly areas here. I could use the bitmap fill for that. I could just use the hill fills here, and that actually does merge not too badly with the symbols. But I'm thinking I have more control if I just use the symbols myself, and it gets a bit more variation and it doesn't take too long. So I'm going to take those. Well, this is all hills here. Not bothered about extending them beyond the map border. I can always extend my screen here that hides the pieces later on. And if I overlap them here, they will be behind these mountain peaks. Go. Some more hills here. Just careful, if I place that here, then the overlap may be wrong. And, I can always go in later and see whether I've got some very bad overlaps where I need to adjust things manually. And here now my map is a bit too transparent for my taste, because I can't really see details anymore. So I'm going to go back to 40%. There, so I can see the river. I've got another river flow here. Let's just quickly add that. Let's go back to the small river and add the river flow here. There we go. Back to the hills. And I'm just gonna continue putting them here. See how this looks later. Up here. And then we do need quite a few more hills here. This hilly forest. We're going to bother about the forest in a bit. And here, if I want to grab some individual hills, I can always switch to these symbols and place them here. Go. Let's see, we've got some smaller hills here. And the rest is a bit missing up here. There we go. And perhaps just a bit of a smaller hill. A single hill there. Okay, again, symbol sorting. Sort symbols, all of them. Do it, and let's hide the bitmap for a sec. It does look a bit odd at the moment, but we're gonna get there. And we're putting down all the forest symbols to unify the whole thing. But what I want to do is I want to add some background here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go for the hills background first. And I've got just in the default style, I only have the one land features sheet where all the terrain textures go on. And I do want to change that to have multiple ones around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one that's called land features hills. Make that, move that above the other land features and make that current, and that way the drawing tool will place the hill texture on that sheet instead of the default land features. And I'm just gonna outline all this to give the hills a little bit of a separate background. All the way to here. To here, back to that. There we are. The only thing is, because we freshly added the sheet, that we don't have the sheet effects on that. So what it's an edge fade inner to transition the edges. So I'm just going to copy that and paste it on my new sheet. Go. And now I'm going to do another sheet and call that land features mountains. Also can already paste the sheet effect on that. And I'm going to use that with the mountains fill that I should have somewhere, I guess. Mountains fill. But I want the mountain background, not the fill is the one with all the quasi symbols in them. The background is just a differently colored texture to make them stand out a little bit from the rest of the map. And since I've placed that on top of the hills, well, below the hills sheet in the list of sheets, we see the mountains above the rest. There we go. And now we do have different textures, and that's already looking a bit better. Not the plain green background for all the mountains and hills. And I'm quite happy with how this is looking already. Okay, so for that, and the next thing I want to do before I start placing all the forest symbols is do the roads on the map, or I can actually do the cities as well, because I want to place the tree symbols around them, the forests, and therefore I do need these down first. Let's start off with the settlements. So we've got two cities on here, that's Trallop and Ballyho. I'm gonna click that, and I'm gonna use the default ones. And they are not big cities in this setting, they're just smaller ones, still cities. So I'm going to use the town, the walled town. symbol. And see, yeah, that does seem to fit quite nicely. Put this in here. And for the other one, I'm going to take the non-walled symbol, but I'm going to also put a castle, because there's a castle there on the river where the two rivers meet. The setting, so let's put that down first. Where's my... Let's not take the big one, just this one here. And then the town symbol in front of that. And this way you can very nicely combine Mike's structure symbols into different ones. And just give them some differentiation, some flavor. We've got a nice little castle here. This is the small blob that's a bit outside of town. And I'm thinking, should I do another stronghold? I can just use a tower. Or I can use the keep for that. I think the castle is always a bit large. These symbols are a bit extensive for this kind of map. Or I can just grab this one. That's a nice size. Oh. What should I do? Which one should I take? Keep? Let's take the keep. What we're actually going to do, I think, is I'm going to swap these. I think that's better. I'm going to move this around here. Move the keep. To here. And use this for this castle outside of town. Sort symbols. And there we are. Okay, then we've got some smaller towns and villages here along the road. So let's grab the village symbol here. And then we've got this town here. There's actually a little place that's not unimportant in the adventure just north of here. For that I'm just going to grab a hamlet symbol. Yeah, let's grab a hamlet symbol, place it a little bit north of this town. And then I'm going to go into these here. Let's grab the village symbol for Braun, Klamm and Saltel. And Unhag. And then we've got, you might just notice them here on my composite map, some small places that are just on the black and white pencil map. And for these I'm just going to put a hamlet symbol down. And there should be some place up here. There we are. That's the objective of the whole adventure. Basically mostly a travel adventure. And this also gets a little tower up there. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna... No, actually I do have a little, some village this way here. I'm gonna use a stockade symbol for that and a little hamlet symbol up here. And then I'm gonna connect these with roads. So I'm gonna use the oops, let's have a look here. Load major road. Oops, that was a misclick. Major road, and for this that's the one going along the river here. It's actually one. Just gonna draw this here. But what I want to do, I'm a bit in of a dilemma with the sheet order for these towns in relation to the roads. I'll talk about this in a sec. Basically, let's hide the bitmaps sheet here for a moment. This doesn't look good. I could break the road at here just to show that, to hide it where the village symbol is, but it's a bit of inconvenient. I could use the road sheet below the symbols, but then when I draw the road, it will also be below all the hills, which is not good because we've got so many hill symbols and it will hardly be visible. So what I need to do is I do need to move the structure symbols over to a different sheet. And yeah, it was in the other map where I had that set up already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a sheet called symbols structures. Move up, and I'll have the road just below that. So it's going to be over the normal symbols like the hills, but below the structures. Now I just need to move the structures to that sheet. How do I do that? I'm going to right click Sheets and Effects, say Move to Sheet by Layer Structures, but not by the road, not the road. The road needs to stay. So I'm just going to hold down Control and click that to unselect it. Now I can see that I have only the structure symbol selected. D for do it and put it on symbol structures. And now the road is nicely below the village symbols. Okay, I'm just seeing that Don is asking about named views. That's a bit of a separate topic, but I'll can do that at a different time. I think it's not a bit inconvenient to talk about it at this point. For now, I'm going to continue mapping, putting the map together here, because I want to show you how I do this with the symbols, with the forests. All right, so here we are. Now we've got all the different symbol structures down, and we've got some of the roads. We don't have all of the roads yet. This is actually what I should do first. I do need to draw more roads. So I've got the main road down, but I want to show the difference in size. So the next step is going to be minor roads, and I'm gonna hit F9 to connect it to the road here and use this to draw this road. So the main road continues this way. And then, as you can see, it's already shown on this map, it switches to a dotted path. And I'm gonna do that as well. This is already a dotted line. I'll continue. Oh, no, that was a bit too quick. Where's my minor road? There. F9 and draw it all the way up to here, and then no, actually a little bit further. At some point that switches to a, actually I wanted to stay with the colored map, so I need to go back a bit and continue this way. Way up to here, and I'm thinking this size of the line dash is a bit too large for my taste. I want that to be smaller. The problem with line styles is that they don't scale with the map size. So because we've got smaller than in the default map, the dash looks larger. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use extract properties, click on the line, and that gives me all the properties up here of that line. See, it's on the roll sheet. It has a width of 0.23 units. It's on the layer structures. It has line style roads and the fill style solid. I want to change the line style, so I'm going to click that. And here are all the line styles listed in the drop down. I'm on the road line style. I'm going to edit that. And here's the pattern length. That's the main thing. So one drawn part, one skip path is together are 5 units. And let's have a look how this looks with 2. Let's see. Let's turn off the bitmap sheet to see that properly. And that's much better. Not too bothered about these little sections where there's no dash. That's because of how the points interact each other on the line. Always a bit difficult. I could move these around too, but since this is hardly visible on the overall map, I'm not bothered about these sections. Instead, I want to looks I was disconnected for a moment there. All right. Am I back? Yeah. Should be back now, but you're lagging a little bit behind. Yes, I am. Wonderful. Great. It was just a hiccup. And this time I got a proper notification, so I actually realized what was happening. It's not always been the case. Found my safe talk in a minute or two once when I was, until I realized that I was not online anymore. And I can already do this path here in the same style. F9 to connect to the existing one. But I want to check. This is now, it's going to be a different line style. I'm going to click. No, that there hit the mountains. That's the problem with extract properties. You'll hit the first, so the farthest back of entities that you click on. And if I try to hit the road, but I did hit the hill texture instead, so it switched to the sheet land features hills and all its relevant properties. So I'm just going to try in a different spot, and there we are. But I see this. Are they both using the line style roads? That's a bit inconvenient. Let's have a look. I'm going to opening the drawing tools here, and the minor one properties uses the line style roads, and the line style path properties. No, it should be line style path. Perhaps I was a bit confused through the disconnect and did use the minor road drawing tool again. Looks like it. So what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna use the change like draw tool command. So I'm gonna change like draw tool and gonna pick the path tool, and then I'm gonna select the two entities I want to change, and definitely not the hill here. Press D for do it, and see whether that changed anything. No, it did not. Not sure why this hasn't changed. Let's do it differently. Change properties. This road, do it. And let's take the line style path. Where is it? Ah, I know why it's not working, because that template doesn't have the path. I think I set up the path separately for my own purposes, and therefore the default template does not have it included, and therefore it can't be changed to that. So we do need to set the path up first. I'm going to save line style roads. Let's have a quick look at the roads first. It draws 0.5, half of the length, then skips half of the length of the pattern. The pattern length is 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a new, call that path 1, and make this 0.5, replace, so that draws full length. Then I'm going to do insert after, and then it skips 0.5 of the length, but I want a smaller pattern. So let's make that half of the road pattern, or let's make it 3/4 of the row, the pattern. I don't want paper scale. Okay, and now I'm going to try again, change properties, this one and this one, do it to the line style path. And there's the much shorter pattern length. Let's hide the bitmap sheet. We go, see the difference there, that works. The width already worked, that was fine, because the width is not affected by the line style not being in the map. And so we've got the smaller one. I'm thinking I might actually make the pattern a bit sparser, so one can see it from farther away, that it is a smaller road. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in Edit, I'm going to put in 0.3, replace that, so I draw 30% of the road and then skip 70% of the pattern length. There we go, and there we can already see it's now more like dots than little dashes that make up the road. That's nice, that's looking good. Okay, so I've got a little bit more road to draw down here. Let's go with the path first, connect it to this section of the road here. That's the path crossing the mountains all the way to here, and then we're going to make it a minor road again. 5. No, that was not the correct spot to connect it to. That's better. And follow the river from here. There we are. And that's our most of the roads down, the ones I'm sharing here, caring here about for the moment. That's looking nice. And now I'm gonna go for the first of the forests. So we've got a lot of forests up here. Let's see how that looks. There we are. I do want to draw some of the mountains here. I'm going to strip to the vegetation catalog, and I can already check here the map, the symbol size. That seems about fine for me. Sometimes I want to change. I can change the relative size of vegetation symbols. Always means it's a bit more work, because you have to, if you make them smaller, you have to place quite a few more. But it can be worthwhile if you want more detail on your map. But I'm fine with the default size here, just thinking about which type of forest tool I want to use. And I think I'm going to go with the mixed forest tool here. So farther northern setting, but not so far north that it's going to be all coniferous trees. I'm going to probably put more coniferous trees towards the higher mountains. So let's have a look. Let's grab the mixed forest here and just outline a bit of an area here where we do have quite a bit of forest. I'm gonna use the forest tool especially across the areas where there are no hills, and bit about the hills. There we are. But then I'm gonna scatter quite a lot more symbols along the hill areas, because I want to show forests there as well, and I want to place coniferous trees towards the mountains. And I think I do need to make the symbols, the transparency, a bit less again, to better see where the forests are supposed to be. Not that it's that important, but exactly they are. But here we go. I can also just grab some deciduous trees and place some here. There we are. And one thing I wanted to show you, if you want to at some point be a bit nice and have some trees peeking out from behind mountains, you do need a new sheet. Because here the trees are set up, they go on the symbols trees sheet, that they always be in front of the mountain. So if you place a tree here, it's going to be on the flank of that little mountain and be fully visible. But I might want to show some symbols just peeking up behind the ridges, and then I can create a new one and say symbols trees back. Move this before the symbols sheet. I've also got the symbols back here, but I do want to keep this tree separate. So I'm going to grab that, and then I'm just going to place these here. Refresh. The problem is, see the hills. There's too many hills here, and they hide those trees. So that didn't quite work as I intended to there at that place. But let's go to a space where I don't have that many hill symbols sitting directly behind the mountains. See. And if I refresh here, you can see the tree symbols there. And then I can go back to symbols trees and place a couple on top of the mountains. And that way you have a nice mix of the mountain and tree symbols. Same with the hills. If you want to place trees behind the hill symbols, trees back. Here we go. Actually, I wanted to pick the deciduous trees. There. See, they are nicely behind the hill symbols. And I'm going to add more forest areas. Grab individual symbols. Always work on your edges with individual trees after drawing the mountain. Okay, I've got a question from Andrew asking for some non-European trees like eucalyptus trees and forests in an upcoming style. We already have a little bit. We've got the palm trees and stuff, and we've got the scrub trees, which work quite nicely as a little bit more non-European trees. But that's certainly something to put on the wish list. I'm sure we're going to get back to Mike doing more symbols for this style in future months. And some non-European tree symbols would certainly be a good thing to add. So, but our hour of mapping is almost done. See, that's how it's looking at the moment. You'll see I'll have some work ahead of me placing all the forests down, but we can see how it's going to look here, generally from this area. And I quite like that already. And I'm probably going to do some of the forests in between, and then in another section I'll do the rest of the more detailed work on the map. Okay, and thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you have a nice rest of the week, and adequate weather to your season you have in your area of the world. And see you again next week. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Bye bye.